Good morning and welcome from Bridgton Stadium and from the rolling hills of Oudtshoorn. Evergreens of Southwestern District take on Hawston of Boland. Well, wherever you are across the country, I hope you appreciate the warmth of your couch or bed, because I doubt it's as cold as it is in Bridgton today. As you can see, the minimum temp, 3 degrees there. That's pretty much how it's feeling right now. But the stadium and the crowd not at all put off by the temperature. Well, let's look at the teams as they line up. First off, we have Hawston, captained there by Brandon Hunter, known as the Crusher. He's a firefighter. Wybro Johnson, he's 32 and he's played for the Leopards. The flyer for Roland Swartz played for Boland under 21 in his time. And then Evergreens, how they line up. Captained by Brian Parks, he's played a lot of rugby for the Griffins. 63 caps for Evergreens, works as a Wi-Fi installer. The fullback Lyndon Rueder played for Southwestern District Juniors and Lions under 21. Well, the good news is that despite the cold and despite the heaters in both of our rooms being broken, neither me nor my co-commentator died of the cold over the evening. Gavin Cowley, you've commentated almost 1,000 matches in your time. How does today's weather rank up there or down there?
Well, I've been in colder, I have to say. In other parts of the country, Bethlehem for one, Johannesburg for another, on an occasion too. But using that word occasion, this is quite an occasion, isn't it? Taking rugby to the community is so special. These people were in here very early this morning, despite the cold. And we've got lovely playing conditions, I think, for today. And we'll have a lot of people here, I would imagine, too.
Well, you know, I think there's just such beauty to an event like this. You can see how much it means to the community, you know, and for these teams, it's a very massive moment. You know, Hawston, the best team in Boland, and Evergreens, the champions of Southwestern Districts. And it's just a very special moment. You know, the stories behind these players. A lot of them work in different lines of work from the areas, and for the community, you can just tell what a special day this is.
So the players all lined up there in front of the main stadium. It's a very, very nice stadium, this in Bridgton. Bridgton is a community, a suburb of around about 60,000 people here in Oudtshoorn. And they absolutely love their sport. A nice opportunity for everybody to be introduced. And it's a big day for them, despite the fact that this is a friendly. And it's a club friendly with two teams who essentially are the champions of their particular provinces. Boland in the case of Hawston, and then Evergreens in the case of Southwestern Districts.
Well, Evergreens coming 5th last year in the Gold Cup, which is a very impressive achievement. Hawston, current leaders in the Overberg League of Boland, they're coming off 12 out of 12 wins. So it'll be very exciting to see who wins. And this is the first time in history that we've had the champions of Boland and the champions of Southwestern District coming up against each other.
Yeah, the Evergreens team, I must say, have a lot of experience, so I think they're going to be a really tough team to beat. Hawston will have, well, a lot of fishermen in their side, of course, because it is a fishing community close to Hermanus, and for them, well, it'll be very interesting. Our referee today is Ruan Meyring, whose father Gert and his brother Manus also referee, and he used to play fly half for Picker. He's currently the sports director at Hartenbos Primary in the Southern Cape, and lives in a place called Reebok. And I don't know if you have heard of Reebok, but it's a small community.
I haven't been in Reebok. I also haven't been in Oudtshoorn, which is where Evergreens hails from. And I have, however, been in Hawston, which, for those of you not aware, is a town just between Onras and Hermanus.
Well, Hawston have a number of interesting things too, Anton, in respect of their nickname or their mantra, which is skrik vir niks, which means, you know, don't be scared of anything. And I just love some of the comments that the club have come with. It's not the size of the man, but the size of the heart. And I think they'll need a bit of heart today to overcome this Evergreens team.
Okay, ready. Ready, Hawston?
Well, in 2012, they beat Never Despair RFC, so name's good. And a very short kick starts the match. Well taken by Evergreens there. The first kick of the game. Going pretty short, spilled back, taken quickly there. They fired up now to the forwards.
Offside within the 10.
That's a penalty for Evergreens right to the start of the match there.
I think at the start of any match, you've got to be very careful that you keep your emotions in tow. You know, you're very jacked up. You've come out of the dressing room. You're ready to fire. The adrenaline's pumping. And very often, you know, you might transgress. On this occasion, with that ball, it wasn't a great kick from Cameron Plaikes and his team. Unfortunately, the Hawston team, many of them were in an offside position. They needed to get out of the 10-meter radius of where that ball came down. And they remained where they were. So it's a chance here for Jason Horn to get first points on the board.
Gav, do you think, you know, both these teams have travelled a bit to get you? You know, it's a fairly big occasion. Do you think nerves will play a role in the beginning of the game?
I think it could well do that. You know, many of these players might not have played on this field before. And of course, the crowd here are all local people. But there's many Hawston and Evergreens supporters that have travelled here.
Jason Horn just not making the kick. Hawston respond by kicking it out. Wasn't a bad attempt, I thought, but just didn't have quite the legs.
Yeah, he didn't really strike it perfectly, I guess. Just maybe a little bit out of his range. First line out of the match.
Well, Julian Prince finds his man. Ball now travels out to the hands of Horn, who gives a very flat pass to the big man, Anvil Prince. It's a pick up and go ball there by Anton Smit. Michaels opts to go left, finds a fly half. The wing has a bit of space. Aridin Lee Veso eventually taken down. Well, a bit of continuity by Evergreen. The space is open for the fly half. Little half gap. Eventually he's fouled. Evergreens continue pressing. Long pass out that doesn't go to hand. Picked up by Devondre Stratham. Good support play here by Evergreen. Several phases, 6 phases it is, and that goes into the 7th as a flank passes it to the lock. He's sporting beautiful hairstyle, but a penalty now going to Evergreen, and I can tell you that the stadium has erupted.
They don't agree with Ruan Meiring's decision there. That was a very, very quick snatch. That ball was stolen by the Hawston players, but the referee said there was no daylight shown. Essentially following the tackle, you've got to release the player before you can attack the ball. You try and pick it up from here. The drive coming through from Darren April. Essentially, there was the rip. The feeling was that the rip was actually in the maul, which is not an issue, you know. The man hadn't effectively been tackled, and that's the argument that I think this big crowd have.
I have to say, Darren April's hairstyle, absolutely loving it. This time around, Jason Horn makes sure of it. Evergreen lead 3 points to 0, 4 minutes down. A good run by Darren April, leading to the penalty in Evergreen's favour.
Middle. Kruin achter.
Match now restored by Hawston. A very good high kick. Oh, a bit of a mix-up over who's going to get the ball. And immediately Hawston get a penalty in the stadium. Well, I think we know who they're supporting.
Is je maar. Wat er ligt? Ja.
It looks like Bradley Brown's going to be stepping up for the kick, but let's look at this first.
No, it's a great kick in that from Bradley Brown, and then the Evergreens play in an offside position after that ball was knocked forward. Now, Bradley Brown has got the giant tee out. His ball is absolutely propped up there, and I can promise you he's going to get lots of height on this kick. Hopefully he gets enough distance too.
Well, Brown misses it despite his tee and despite staring at the ball very intently. Just not making it in this occasion.
Geskrel achter. Kikker, keer hem aan.
Evergreen not rushing their restart from the 22 here. Horn sends it long and deep, just onto the 10-meter line. In the hands of Hawston's number 15. Now pass out. Oh my goodness! Poor Neville Peterson, all 74 kilograms of him, taking a hard hit, but the ball now popping out into the hands of Evergreen. Anton Smith, the big man, charging forward, well supported. Ball fires out. Their forwards waiting, and goodness me, this is a big man. And the rip is successful. Back into the hands of Hawston. And Sir Bernardo, the man who lost the ball here. Hawston clear the ball. And replied immediately by setting it into the half of Hawston. Well, good hands there by the fly half and good stepping now. And unfortunately, Plakies, after doing some good work with his feet, just the pass are going to hand.
Touch. Play out.
Well, if you're looking for highlights or lowlights, whichever way you want to look at it, have a look at this tackle on Neville Peterson. Absolute thunderous effort, this brilliant tackle. That's the way you bring a big man down, or a tall man, should I say, from Kyle Hans there with the tackle.
Well, Evergreens now as the restart. Ball's gone backwards, there's a call, but changing position now back to Hawston. Well, Gavin, we were talking earlier about that player, Peterson. He's 74 kilograms and 183. They call him Mr. Bean, so you know, a lot of bravery to play rugby with that size.
Off his foot in front of that player.
Yeah, he's probably the joker in the pack, isn't he? The Mr. Bean in the changing room. That was a great tackle. And, well, a lot of penalties early on in this game, and you mentioned the point a little bit earlier, Anton. You know, perhaps a bit of tension out there. You know, players with the adrenaline flowing.
Was it 5?
And on both sides, we've seen penalties.
Well, a lot of excitement, it must be said. That's certainly nothing that's lacking. Hawston now with the ball. A long pass, not going to hand. Fielded by Kleinschmidt. He has a little bit of space, and Kleinschmidt's, well, he's breaking through several players now. Eventually he's felled. Mr. Bean, the man who was broken earlier in support there at the ruck, so he's all right. Beautiful flat pass there to the center of the field. Hawston going forward well now. The kick employed. It's a very good kick, I think, from Hawston. Good run of play for the team in blue.
Well, both teams really look like they want to move the ball around the park.
Just hold it quickly.
And that's often the case in the early stages of the game.
This is middle.
Everyone wants a touch and everyone wants an opportunity. Some good running from Chad Kleinsmith, and I think one of the things that benefited him there was his handoff. He was able to handle 3 or 4 players and get himself into a relatively favorable position.
Julian Prince finds his mark, tap down into the hands of Horn. He clears it, but the ball not going out. Bradley Brown finds it, passes it infield. Little slip for Jason Griffiths, but he's got up.
Get out.
Now Now the scrum half. Oh, it's a good step inside by the number 10. And the offload, beautiful through ball to Neville Peterson.
Good.
It looks like it may have been turned over, and it is. Rudy Michaels punts it upfield, but still in the hands of the Hawston players, who have been looking very dangerous. And Neil Grootboom scragged and dragged back there.
Last feet. Use it.
Interesting decision there. A kick there by Blakey's, but well, it's worked out for him very nicely.
I think the Hawston team as well have worked out quite well what they need to do against Evergreens, and that's get the ball behind their big pack of forwards and just kick it into space and just dominate territory for a while, because they've probably come here as the underdogs, have Hawston, but at the moment they certainly are making the right calls tactically.
Well, it looks like it could be Darren April there, the man injured. But you know, Gav, the thing I love about this level of rugby is, you know, the community is so involved, and you know, there's a lot of fishermen, as you said, in this team, policemen, and you know, the stories behind these players are so rich, and you know, it's colourful, and as we're seeing though, exciting rugby being played.
Well, what I'd like to do is go down to the dressing rooms after this game and have a chat to two men, one in either side, who are firefighters, and just wonder whether they may be involved as well down in Neisner with the terrible fires that we had there recently, you know. So, as you mentioned, very different occupations, law enforcement officers, teachers, and the like. And another interesting thing too is that in the Hawston team, one of the men on the bench, Darren Marie, they call him Tank. He's a student at the moment. He's the son of the coach of the team, which is Warren Marie, who's also a school teacher. So you talk about community, you know, you talk about family as well. But we repeat this quite often, Anton, but it's a very valid point. Taking rugby to the community, I think, brings a new generation of supporters to people that might not travel some distance to go and watch a game. When it's actually in your backyard, you know, it's a great occasion. And this is a big day in the year for the Bridgton community.
Here's your mark. Lucas.
Young Darren Aprils going off there. He's a big man. Evergreens will be disappointed to lose him, but he's replaced by Sheldon Brainders.
Yeah, rugby brings us disappointments too, doesn't it? And injury is an occupational hazard. It's one of those things, unfortunately, that does follow you around. Most players have an injury at some stage of their career, so Darren April, I don't think, would have wanted it this early in this match.
Now Hawston with the push-in, strong-looking scrum there. Well, ball missing the hands of the player, but Hawston still in possession of the ball. Jason Griffiths, the one who cleaned up there. Hawston regrouping, pick up and go attempted there. A bit of space opening. You can see this enormous size of Thomas Gordon there. 140 kilograms, ball pops out, traveled left, there's not many players out. Have to make sure not to get isolated. Good support from Hawston. Little bit of a juggle, but still position maintained. Now, Blakey's pass it on to the forward, crash ball.
Now play on. Off his boot.
Well, Swartz is through, he's broken 1 and 2. Releases the ball, gives it to the hooker, Maven Benjamin. Hawston keeping calm heads, and now rewarded with a penalty. Gav, what do you think of that bit of play there by Hawston?
Well, I think, look, there's definitely, at the moment, as I mentioned earlier, that they are dominating territory, which is very good for them. They're getting themselves into favourable positions. And again, you can see at the breakdown point there, Evergreens under pressure, forced to play the ball. When I say forced to play the ball, choosing to play the ball with the hands in the ruck. And that's given away that penalty. So tactically, once again, I think that Hawston are really just pushing the right buttons at the moment.
It takes quite a bit of maturity to absorb that pressure that comes on. And Hawston has certainly, I think, done well after initially a very strong start by Evergreens. Well, Bradley Brown on his second attempt, just like Jason Horn on Evergreens, makes sure of it. A bit of an easier kick than his last time, and well, Hawston looking quite good.
One of the key things I think for Evergreens is that they need to learn to absorb pressure, and you know they've had it for a while. They were leading on the scoreboard, and the more pressure they can absorb, you know, the better chance they've got of laying a foundation then for attacking in later stages in the game. And the Evergreens team, I think, would be expected to get better as the game progresses.
Well, Jason Horn, the policeman, fires it off into Hawston's 22.
Thank you.
Outside was the call from the referee, and now a little stab through the field. It's a foot race, but fielded well there by Lyndon Rueda. Pops it out, there's a bit of space. Smart passes the ball in, and Hawston take possession of it.
They come back.
Flung out across hands. Good change of direction there.
Inside.
The kicker now gets himself into position.
6. Thank you.
Clears it, and the short, the quick line out, the decision. It's all happening here. Michaels runs it up, and he's having a lot of trouble stopping him. Still infield. Ball fired out. Oof. Good defense there by Brandon Hunter, the captain of Hawston. Anton Smith takes it up, eventually fouled, and he knocks it. And Hawston absorbed that pressure well, and now a scrum goes their way.
It's important for Evergreens to not to feel that they have to do something immediately. You know, there's sometimes your enthusiasm gets carried away. They haven't necessarily always got the skill set to match their, you know, the ideas that they might have in terms of execution. But they've got to get their hands on a little bit more ball, and Hawston at the moment are dominating that area. If they, Evergreens, where they are now in a good attacking position, midfield, they don't have the put in at the scrum, can keep Hawston down here for a while, I think that would be an objective of theirs.
Well, the scrum's standing up quite well. Very good kick there. And it's been taken by the player, but lost forward. Rueda now taking it up. Offloaded it. I think he may have been taken out. Touch before that.
Well, a guy like Rowan Meyering is refereeing this match as well, and making sure that he allows enough advantage where it's required. He did it on that occasion. There was the knock-on. He let it go just to see if there was something was going to happen. It didn't happen. And I think, you know, at this level, it's really important to make use of advantage, because we do find maybe there's a few more errors in terms of knock-ons or forward passes or whatever it might be, and to allow the game to flow properly. Both these teams want to enter into the spirit of playing running rugby, there's no doubt about it.
Well, now we see a scrum that's... All the scrums today have gone very well as these things go, talking about the refereeing. But good crash ball there by Evergreens. Now the forward loping around, Anton Smith is. Ball pops out, goes into the hands of number 8, Oudtshoorn. Now there's a bit of space. Evergreens take the contact, and it's in the hands of the big man, Ashton Bernardo.
That's it now.
Evergreens still maintain possession. Little tap there with the hand. And after 5 faces, is a foot race that has been chased up very well by the Hawston player. Puts a foot to it, does Benson Griffiths. And
That's carried over.
I think it was carried over.
That's very good refereeing that. I was just waiting for him to make that call. The ball was touched before it went over the line by the Evergreens players. And hence, it'll be a 5-meter scrum. Hawston's opportunity. Again, just tactically, maybe lacking somewhat, but that fly hack certainly helped. Now have a look at all the Hawston players that are up there. Very few Evergreens players who eventually managed to get back and save the day. Or have they saved the day? Because Hawston will be very hungry to get over that goal line.
Well, Gav, as you were talking about the refereeing, you know, when we last commentated together, you were talking about scrums and how there's still something that rugby's working on. But it seems that today, I don't want to give it the curse of the commentator, but the scrums have been looking quite good and stable.
They have, yeah. Well, we haven't had a lot of them, and not a lot of line-outs yet either, but they have stood very well.
And as another one stands tall, the 8-man flings it to the fly half. There's a little bit of space, not taken down, is Swart. Turnover made, goes out towards Evergreens. Hawston will be bitterly disappointed with that.
Last feet. Play on.
Well, Jason Horn, with quite a bit of space and time there, kicks it but doesn't clear it, and it looks like a drop goal attempt from Bradley Brown, and he's missed it.
22, missed.
Well, a few interesting situations there. Turnover of possession, number one. It's a big in-goal area here, so lots of space for Jason Brown to move around in, but his kick not going out. Importantly, you've got to get those kicks out in those positions. And then Bradley Brown, well, he made sure that he steadied himself. One of the key things with kicking a drop at goal is don't do it on the run, unless you have to, of course. Steadied himself and just not quite there.
And now the restart from the 22 into the hands of Griffiths, who flings it out. Ball travels across the field without moving too much forward, and there's a bit of space there for Neville Peterson. Glad to say he's fresh and alive after the big hit he received early on in the match. Somewhat stationary forwards taking it. The captain Brandon Hunter takes it in field. Blykeys moves the prop out of scrum opposition. Another kick from Swartz. And that goes out, so will be a line out to Evergreens as we hit quarter of our way through the match.
So Hawston with not the territory that they would have wanted, or the possession, rather Evergreens without the possession that they would have wanted. I think that's got to be key to the balance of this first half for them.
And Prince finds Veso quickly out amongst the backs. Now space opening, ball moving across the field as our players. Kyle Hunt scraggled there, and the ball going into Hawston's hands. Almost another turnover, and it is Evergreens with the penalty.
Get out. Never last feet on the side, yeah.
Nice, good, quick explanation from Ruan Meiring too, you know, in from the side. You know, just a couple of words that everybody knew what it was. But Evergreens, when they're getting possession, they're running a little bit too much across the field. They haven't got someone who's straightening the line for them.
Jason Horn calmly kicks it out between the 10 and the 22, the Hawston half.
Middle.
Isn't it nice to see a young lady as well on the touchline as we have a look at that transgression there with Leanne McLeod with her flowing locks as our assistant referee on the near side.
Okay, that's skew on the outside arm, not going to play. Ludo Whistle. Option, scrum a line out. Scrum. Scrum call.
So the throw in the line out, dreadfully skew unfortunately, and Hawston, well, they had the opportunity. They've taken the scrum. They feel a little bit more confident with that maybe, and they've stood well. They've got some big fellows in that pack. Edward Fisher at 125 kilograms at tight head. And Gordon Thomas, their loose head. A loose head at 140 kilograms. Eat your heart out, Tox van der Linde.
Well, he's a fisherman, and I just have an image of him in a small boat. All 140 kilograms, but now Hawston, very stable scrum there. Passed out, it's the fullback. He clears it. Bounces once, twice, thrice. But now they're gained by Evergreens. And it's Ruda who crashes up. Puts his head down. Well, very good counter-rucking here by Hawston, but a penalty.
But you went straight off your feet, okay?
Bit enthusiastic.
Leave him, play on.
On the quick take there, taken by Dwayne Smart. He's held up, but then falls to the ground. Now back in field to Horner, and the pass has gone just
2 knock-ons.
Just down there.
Scrum.
Well, I spoke about lateral movement, and well, not a great pass, number one. Hawston very quick up out of the starting blocks. Somehow Evergreens have just got to try and find either that fly off of the inside centre that can straighten that line, or the men standing in that position at some point.
We were talking about the size of the gents earlier, and you know, it'll be interesting to see how the last 20 minutes of this match plays off. I remember you saying that's probably the most important part of a game.
It absolutely is, you know, and obviously conditioning and fitness at this level is not the same as what you would find at Super Rugby. So your replacement bench becomes important too.
Well, after the 8 takes around the scrum, the kick goes into the hands of Rueda. Evergreen regroup. Vaughan calmly kicks it up. Got several players chasing after the ball. But Barnes taking cleanly and running afterwards. Hawston now with a bit of space. Bit of go forward ball.
Play on.
And now it's been passed almost directly to Evergreens. Long loping pass. Little bit of space there for the wing.
Leave his neck, leave his neck.
Leave his neck, the call. And the request.
Okay, you were around the neck.
Not honoured as quickly as the referee would have liked.
It's a penalty only, eh? Yeah, it's a penalty for the dangerous.
Well, anything above the shoulder is considered a dangerous tackle with the new laws of the game. Referees are very strict with that. And in many occasions, of course, they warrant a yellow card or at times even a red card. On this occasion, Ruan Meiring quite happy that a penalty would suffice. Another chance here for Evergreens.
We've got 4 again.
Of course, a neck roll is something that's even more dangerous. So there, the man is held by Haniel Grootboom, but not actually pulled to ground.
And the short line out not successful. Evergreens back into the hands of Hawston. Now Hawston counter-attack well. A great line there as Kleinschmidt crashes through the centre berth. Forwards a plenty in the back line. And the big prop employed there, not making much ground. Now spreading through the hands it is for Hawston. Melton Barnes makes a good run.
Thank you.
Taken down.
Well done.
Edward Fisher, nicknamed Fist, takes it, cleans up. Blykes fires it back to Swartz.
You can play.
Kicks it down the neck of Evergreen. Well, it's a good tackle there. Have to be careful not to lose it, but Hawston in possession now. That's a great victory from them, moving 25 meters up the field and gaining possession.
And you can see just how active they are at the breakdown. I think the Rucks have really been dominated by Hawston to date. And Evergreens just seem to be a little bit unsettled at the moment. They've made 20 tackles thus far in the game, but they've missed 8 tackles. So that's something also, because they haven't had the possession, they've felt the pressure. And Hawston certainly have pushed a lot of the right buttons in these first 26 minutes.
5. 6.
Well, the scrums maintain their strength. Very flat pass there, and a space opening up for the Hawston team. Bradley Brown gives a beautiful inside cross to Jason Griffiths, who's taken down.
Now 15, leave it!
Hawston needs support players, and they do arrive. The ball pops out, but fielded by Blykes. Now it's the flank who makes a bit of ground through. The ball's popped out, it's a knock-on. Evergreens in possession of the ball. What do they do? Decide to run it. Taking it left. The offload to Rueda successful. Now it's back to the hands of Horn. He's got space for days. Going to weigh up his option. Takes contact. Goes to the ground. Lets it go. It's a reserve Brander who's on. He's still running with it. Evergreen looking very dangerous, but just not managing to capitalize.
Well, we saw 2 knock-ons in the process there, and the referee allowed advantage, and this was the outcome. So once again, the importance of keeping the game flowing by the man with a whistle. Evergreens not enough close-in support on that occasion. I think the speedster really ran away from his support initially. Nobody could keep up with him.
Well, we've had half an hour of play, and if you've just turned on, I can tell you that despite the scoreline, we are watching a very exciting game. A lot of action, a lot of running, and the stadium is just getting more and more full. There's kiosks, there's smoke from fires, there's all sorts of screaming going on in the background. Children play touch rugby. It is a beautiful day for community rugby in South Africa.
Okay,
yeah, it really is a champion concept. This, as you mentioned, Anton, you know, they've got the stalls all right around the stadium where people can have their lunches and do whatever they need to do. This is a very boisterous crowd as well, I must say. So they really are hammering the eardrums here.
And as you say, Gav, I'm sure rugby being introduced to new people and perhaps future Springboks in the crowd. Now Barnes running sideways, folded by Evergreens. The chip through, successful, well, almost successful there for Wybro Johnson.
I think one of the important things too when you talk about community is the development of role models, you know, and role models in community bring on the young people, someone who they can identify with. And I remember at Chester Williams's wedding, the great Nelson Mandela said a very important thing to Chester. He said, what's really important in your life is to become a champion of your community, you know, which essentially he was anyway and continue to be. So these young men, even although they don't come from this community, these two teams, one from George and one from near Hermanus, they have the opportunity via the television screen to actually develop into role models, and also when they're playing at home.
What a beautiful and precious thing that is. Michael's now opts with a kick, and it looks like it's gone out on the full. I think they're going to have a look at it, and out on the full is the call.
Quite often, I think, when you get into a situation where the scoreboard's 3-all and you're getting a bit frustrated, you know, it's really important to exercise patience, think about your game, you know, and see how you can improve it.
Well, Hawston charging up now, lots of space there for the number 10. He breaks it through and lets it go to Grootboom. Grootboom's got a bit of space, tries the underhand Sunnyball Williams style pass, unsuccessful, but a penalty has been called by the referee.
No. So he was attempting the tackle, just wrong timing, yeah, without the ball.
Absolutely spot on, Ruan Maring. Man tackled, an early tackle on him, which could well have resulted in a possible try. But again, Bradley Brown has an opportunity from slap in front.
Let's commit in the tackle. There's net a timing issue. That's a goeie denkwijze. Always a possibility for that. Yeah.
Gordon Thomas, the biggest man on the field at 140 kilograms, has just had the explanation from the referee, and he has an indifferent look on his face.
Bradley Brown has his distinct crouch and intense stare, pauses, and using his somewhat dance-like introduction to his walk, pots it over. Well, yeah, Gavin, I imagine if you're 140 kilograms, you don't really ever have to take many instructions or orders.
Well, I sort of heard in the background some heavy breathing, so I'm not sure that his voice was ready to, you know, be projected to the referee, and it's been a tough game for them. But he'll be very happy with his team's efforts thus far. This first half has belonged to Hawston in many ways.
Jason Horn now, 8.5 minutes left, restarts, the ball knocked backwards into Evergreen hands. Evergreen certainly will be looking to score in the next 8.5 minutes. Needing runners to take the ball straight. See the kick employed now.
Thank you.
Into the hands of Griffiths. Takes it up and then goes down. Crawls forward. Tidied up. It's Wybro Johnson stands in a scrum half. A lot of Hawston players waiting on the ball if they can let it out. It's the hooker now. gives out a beautiful pass. Brookburn kicks it into the hands of Evergreen, and now it's a reserve. Brainders makes a bit of something, and once again, ball changes hands. Now to a Hawston. It's a rather stringy Barnes. On space now for the flank, and it's Blythes who's in space. He looks around at his options. The pass goes to hands. Back to Blythes, who's taken down with a hard tackle. Great bit of interplay there by the 9 and 10. Pick and go the decision. Good support play there by the big men who've got there very well. And it's a cross kick used there by Bradley Brown. Desperately hoping it works, does Hawston. Doesn't. And a penalty now given to Hawston in what could be for Bradley Brown a kickable position.
9 off his feet, slowing him down.
Rudy Michaels, the guy penalised on that occasion for slowing down the release of that ball. So they do have an opportunity to further extend the lead, and it's not an easy kick this for Bradley Brown, the 31-year-old, but some delightful running here from Hawston. I must say, they've kept the ball moving into space, found a player, and some good regrouping defensively by Evergreens, who were caught quite unawares with that early break.
Well, Bradley Brown, clearly a man with confidence, because he went for a drop kick in a fairly similar position to where he's taking this kick from. He's 31 and he's played a bit of rugby around, so quite calm, quite confident. Gavin, when last did you see a tee that high?
Yeah, not often. I mean, they are available, but most players don't use them, you know, and I mean, I see no real benefit in using a longer tee. It just makes the ball go a little bit higher in the air, I guess, but your accuracy levels, I think, are better with the lower tee. That's my experience. Although I kicked off sand, I have to say, in my time.
Back in your day. Badly Brown just not making it. Wasn't a bad attempt. Gav, did you kick off sand by choice, or was that in those days all one did kick off?
No, there weren't tees available. We used to use sand, so someone would bring on the sand and you sort of organize it in the way that you want to. Worked very well, to be honest. You know, so, but of course as the game has developed, so tees have become available of different sizes too.
Well, Horn kicks it out of his 22. Just past the 10 meter of Hawston. Blythes calmly takes it, fields it, passes it out to Brown, who finds a bit of space, and that's quite a useful kick by Bradley Brown. But the quick restart here from Evergreens. Oh, a little bit of space being used there. Hawston, however, crashing through. It was Christo Orange who bundled the player out of play there.
Evergreens are being hustled into making mistakes, you know, and I just think they're feeling the pressure. You can see some of the players there just pointing as well and saying, kick a ball downfield, you know. But there's been a lot of aimless kicking, one's got to say, from both teams. Not accurate and not with good intention. We saw 1 or 2 up and unders from Jason Horn. He didn't really have a good kick chase, so they ended up being, you know, fairly useless.
Well, Marvin Benjamins finds his mark. Hawston using a rolling maul back into the hands of Benjamin. It's the first time in the match we've seen this. The rolling maul being used successfulully. Evergreen having quite a bit of trouble here, slowing them down. Still going is a Hawston maul, although there is now a pushback by Evergreen. It's come out in the hands of the captain, Brandon Hunter. Eventually taken down. Digging in there is Blythes, who finds the ball, gives it out to Swart, gives a beautiful inside line there, and the ball's still going, pop back. However, Evergreen pluck it from here. That's a beautiful through the legs pass there by the captain. And now space opening for Evergreens. The kick once again used, and this man's got some pace. Pops up beautifully for him. And that is a try on the way there for Dwayne Smart. And well, we've seen the kicks being used by Evergreen, and this time pays off, and it couldn't have come at a better time.
Well, you have a classic case here of coughing up possession. The turnover just opened up the opportunities for Evergreen, and a perfect bounce for Dwayne Smart to be able to go flying in. The trainee manager from ShopRite with the first try of the match.
Maar je is off. Je moet opper wees. Omdat je al was, toen Italy bal gekry, so speel
well,
ons
there
aan.
certainly are
Maar
some
seker
supporters of
beter
Evergreen in the stadium. Quite a lot of applause at that moment.
Ja,
I did hear that many supporters travelled from George last night even for this match. And the music fires off as well in the background. DJ Johan playing his music and just getting more and more festive and more animated in the stadium. So Jason Horn works as a police officer in George. Played for the Bloemfontein Crusaders for a period. Pauses now, looks at the polls, and in spite of a very good charge up by Martin Barnes, makes sure of it. And Evergreens, after perhaps not being the most dominant side of the half, looking at a lead as we enter the halftime break.
Well, rugby's a game of opportunities, and that stretched the whole length of the field thanks to a very intelligent kick and a very fortuitous bounce. And the game has shown, Evergreens just had to keep going, show some patience, get their hands on a little bit more ball, and then make it work for them.
Well, that's a very good take by Weso. Takes it Australian football style. Michaels clears it, using the kick again. A lot of pressure put on the number 8 Heinrich Robertson there, but he takes it well. Hawston players swarming to regroup. They do. It's the number 12 Wybro Johnson who crashes it up there. 1 minute left. Hawston will be quite desperate to right the wrongs of the past minute where the try was scored against them. But now a very pumped up Evergreen take possession of it. And Gav, this try very well might be a sort of turning point of confidence and charge of the match.
It could be. One also must remember too that at the moment Hawston have played 12 matches this season. They've won all 12, so they're obviously a team high on confidence, and that's something you can't buy. You develop confidence, you tend to make the right calls, you tend to make the right kicks, the right passes at the right times in the game, and they've pretty much done that in the first half. So that last try, or the first try of the match, was actually against the run of play, but it was opportunistic and important for Evergreens.
Well, the scrum, it's the first scrum of the match that has to be restarted. So,
Kom ons bly steady.
Combination of good scrumming and good refereeing and instruction from Ruan Mary.
Last scrum, gents.
Well, it might not be the last scrum because you might have to reset it. The commentators curse.
Crouch.
I'm increasingly learning never to make predictions in this match, because in this game it invariably goes the opposite way. Well, Rudy Michaels
Hold it, 9.
feeds the scrum. It's passed out to him by the captain. He's found a little bit of space. He gives it to Rueda. It's met hard by Chad Kleinschmidt. Nonetheless, Evergreen still in possession. Certainly looking like a more confident team. There's a little bit of space that's opened up there for the flanker, Orenli Veso. Now the forward ball moving right, across the hands. It's in the hands of the prop, who straightens. Well, isn't that a good tackle on him? Once again, the ball travels left amongst the hands. Parks fires it off to the outside centre. It's in the hands of the try scorer, Smart. He's looking for a second. He scrags it out. Let the ball out, and a bit of exciting play ended. Well, it's been a good half. Hawston looking very good, but Evergreen with a try at the beginning and the end of the match, leading. And 10-6 Evergreen lead at halftime.